I woke up in the hospital after overdosing in a client's apartment on something stronger he gave me.
My name is Nika Petrovich. I'm 25 now, and I was in escort work for about 3 years before I finally got out. I grew up in Niche, in this regular working class part of the city where everybody knew everybody. My parents both worked at the factories, long shifts, same routine every day. We never had much, but we had enough. I was always the energetic one, you know? The girl who laughed loudest, who wanted to be out doing something. Even as a kid, I loved music, dancing, being around people. School felt like a cage. I was pretty good at it when I tried, but by the time I was 15 or 16, I just stopped trying. The party crowd felt more real to me. Weekends we'd sneak out to these clubs or house parties. Nothing crazy at first, just cheap beer, loud Serbian turbo folk music, cigarettes on the balcony, talking shit till sunrise. I felt alive there. The boys noticed me. The girls wanted to be my friend. I liked the attention. It made me feel like I mattered. My mom would worry, but she was always tired from work and trying to keep the house together. She'd say, "Nika, you're too young for this," but I'd just hug her and promise I'd be careful. Then everything shifted when I was 16. Mom got diagnosed with cancer. It happened fast. One day she was there complaining about her back, and a few months later she was gone. The house went quiet after that. Dad started drinking more and more. At first it was after work, then it was all day. He'd sit in the kitchen with the TV on, staring at nothing. I hated seeing him like that. I started staying out later because being home felt heavy. The apartment smelled like old beer and cigarettes, and sometimes I'd notice little things missing. My mom's jewelry, the good radio, even some kitchen stuff. I knew what he was doing, but I never said it out loud. I didn't want to make it real. My friends became my real family. We'd meet up after I finished my shifts at the club. I started working as a promoter and sometimes a dancer when I was 18. It wasn't fancy, just local spots, getting people in the door, hyping up the nights, dancing on the bar when the music hit right. The tips were decent, and the owners liked me because I brought energy. I'd come home with cash in my pocket, buy new clothes, get my hair done, feel like I was living. That was the dream back then. To live bright, to not sit around waiting for life to happen like my parents did. I wanted music, lights, laughter, nights that didn't end at midnight. I'd tell myself I had it under control. A little weed here and there, some pills to keep the energy up when I was working late. Nothing I couldn't handle. I was young and pretty, and people liked being around me. There were guys who wanted more, of course, offering drinks, rides, promises, but I kept things light. I wasn't stupid. I saw girls who fell into bad situations, and I swore that wouldn't be me. I was just having fun while I figured out what I actually wanted to do with my life. Some mornings I'd wake up in my tiny room with the sunlight coming through the curtains and feel this little knot in my stomach, like something was off. But I'd push it down, make coffee, blast music, text my friends about the next night. I was scared of ending up stuck like my dad, alone, broke, destroyed by drinking. That fear pushed me to keep moving, keep smiling, keep chasing the next good time. I thought if I stayed fast enough, the bad stuff couldn't catch me. Looking back now, I can see the cracks were already there. The way I needed the noise to drown out the quiet at home. The way I started relying on those little boosts to feel normal. But at the time, I just thought I was living my life. I was Nika from Niche, who loved to dance, who made people smile, who still believed the best was coming. I had no idea how fast it could all slip away. After a while, the nights stopped feeling as fun as they used to. I'd still go out, still dance, still laugh with my friends, but I was tired all the time. Working at the clubs meant late hours, loud music that left my ears ringing, and sleeping during the day when normal people were living their lives. I'd wake up around 3 in the afternoon with a headache and that heavy feeling like I hadn't really rested. Money was always tighter than I wanted to admit. The tips were good on busy weekends, but then there'd be slow weeks. Rent still had to get paid. Food, cigarettes, a new outfit so I didn't look the same every night. And then there was Dad. He kept drinking, and the house was falling apart around him. One month the electricity almost got cut off because he forgot to pay. I ended up covering it with my club money. Another time I came home and found he'd sold my mom's old winter coat. I yelled at him, he yelled back, and then we just sat there in silence. It felt pointless. I started needing something extra to keep going. At first it was just a line here and there with the crew after closing. It helped me push through the exhaustion, made the music hit harder, made everything feel lighter for a few hours. I control it, I'd tell myself. It's not like I need it every day. But those days turned into most days. The party crowd I trusted so much was doing the same thing, so it didn't feel dangerous. It felt normal. The loneliness crept in quietly. A lot of my friends had their own dramas going on. Boyfriends who were trouble, jobs that sucked, family stuff. We'd still meet up, but the conversations got shorter. I'd go home after a long night and just sit on my bed, scrolling through my phone, feeling this empty ache I couldn't explain. I missed my mom. I missed the version of my dad who used to make stupid jokes at dinner. And I was scared I was turning into him without even realizing it. Bills kept piling up. The club paid under the table, so no real schedule, no benefits. When my phone got cut off one month because I was late on the payment, I borrowed from a friend. Then I borrowed again to pay her back. Little things like that started adding up. I'd look in the mirror some mornings, puffy eyes, makeup still smudged from the night before, and think, this isn't how it was supposed to go. But then I'd put on some music, do my makeup, and head back out because staying home felt worse. Arguments with Dad got uglier. He'd accuse me of wasting money on clothes and nights out while he sat there with his bottles. I'd scream that at least I was trying, at least I was bringing money in. Deep down, I knew we were both right and both wrong. I started staying at friends' places more just to avoid the tension at home. But even there, the vibe was changing. People were using more, talking less, chasing the next high instead of just having fun. I still told myself everything was fine. I was young. This was just a phase. I'd figure it out eventually. But I could feel the ground getting softer under my feet. The smiles at work started feeling forced. The laughs with friends sounded a little more hollow. And the fear I used to have about ending up like my dad? It wasn't just a distant worry anymore. It was starting to feel close. Too close. I didn't know what to do with any of it. So I kept moving, kept dancing, kept telling myself tomorrow would be better. Things kept getting worse, but I kept pretending they weren't. The coke started taking up more of my money and more of my time. What used to be a weekend thing became almost every night just to get through work and feel normal. I'd tell my friends, I control the drugs, not the other way around, and I really believed it. But the truth is, I needed it to function, and needing it meant needing cash every single day. I tried to fix it the normal way. I asked the club owner for more shifts. He gave me a couple extra, but it wasn't enough. I looked for other jobs during the day, waitressing, cleaning, anything. One place called me in for an interview, but when they saw my tattoos and the way I talked, they said they'd call me back. They never did. I even thought about going back to school for some short course, but that cost money too, and I couldn't afford to stop working even for a month. Dad got into a fight at the corner store one night, and they banned him. He came home with a bloody lip and no groceries. I paid for food again that week. My phone got cut off twice. I borrowed from 3 different friends and started avoiding their calls when I couldn't pay them back. The shame of that burned. I hated feeling like I was becoming the person everybody whispers about. One of the girls I knew from the club scene pulled me aside after a long night. She was always dressed nicer, always had cash, and never seemed stressed about rent. She said some guys were looking for company. Not full-time, just occasional. Good money for a few hours. She made it sound simple, almost like another kind of promoting. I laughed it off at first and told her no way. I'm not that desperate, I said. But inside my head the numbers were spinning. How much I owed? How much I needed for the next few days? How tired I was of scraping by? For almost 2 weeks I fought it. I sold some clothes, skipped meals, cut back on everything I could. I even tried to slow down on the coke, but the headaches and the anxiety were so bad I gave in after 3 days. That's when it really hit me. I wasn't in control anymore. The fear of being sick, of not having money for the next one, was louder than any shame. Then one night after the club, the same girl brought it up again. A regular client was asking about me specifically. He was nice, she said. Paid well, no weird stuff, just company. I sat there on the curb outside the club, phone in my hand, staring at the cracked screen, thinking about going home to my drunk dad and an empty fridge. My hands were shaking a little. I told her I'd think about it. She waited. I took a deep breath, looked up at the dark sky, and whispered, "Okay, tell him yes." The girl from the club set it up for the next evening. She sent me the address and said to be there at 9. I spent the whole day feeling sick to my stomach. I changed my outfit 3 times, trying to look nice, but not like I was trying too hard. Finally, I just put on a simple black dress and my good jacket. My hands wouldn't stop shaking while I did my makeup. The building was one of those newer apartment blocks on the edge of Niche, the kind with the shiny lobby and security cameras. I took the elevator up to the 6th floor. My heart was pounding so loud I could hear it in my ears. When I knocked, this guy in his late 30s opened the door. He was wearing a button-up shirt and jeans, smelled like expensive cologne. He smiled, said his name was Marco, and invited me in like I was a normal guest. The apartment was clean and modern. Big TV, leather couch, city lights twinkling through the big windows. He offered me a drink. I took a small glass of wine just to have something in my hands. We sat on the couch and made awkward small talk. He asked what I did, how long I'd been doing this. I lied and said it was new. He nodded like he understood. There was this long silence where we both knew why I was really there. He finally said, "We don't have to rush, just relax." I remember nodding, trying to smile, but my face felt frozen. The next part is still blurry in my mind. We moved to the bedroom. The lights were dim. He was polite, almost gentle. I kept thinking about the money, about the rent, about how I just needed to get through this one night. It didn't last very long. Afterwards, he went to the bathroom while I got dressed quickly, my fingers fumbling with the zipper. When he came back, he was smiling again. He took an envelope from the dresser and handed it to me. "You were great," he said. I didn't count it right there. I just put it in my bag and thanked him in a small voice. He called me a taxi, even paid for it in advance. As I walked out of the building, the cold night air hit me hard. The city looked the same, but I felt completely different. The taxi driver didn't say much. I stared out the window the whole ride home, watching the streetlights pass. The envelope was heavy in my bag. I had more money in one night than I usually made in 2 weeks at the club. But something inside me had shifted. I kept thinking, this is who I am now. When I got home, I went straight to my room, closed the door, and sat on the bed in the dark for a long time. I didn't cry. I just felt empty. Like a door had closed behind me and I couldn't open it again. The first few months after that decision, everything felt like it sped up. The money hit different. I paid off what I owed my friends, covered Dad's bills without arguing, and still had plenty left. For the first time in years, I wasn't counting every dinar. I bought real groceries, not just whatever was cheapest. Then came the clothes, the hair appointments, the perfume that actually lasted. Little things that made me feel put together. Clients started coming more regularly. Most of them were polite enough. One guy, a businessman from Belgrade, took me to this nice restaurant where the waiters knew him by name. I sat there eating steak that cost more than my old weekly earnings, nodding while he talked about his company. Another time I stayed in a luxury hotel suite with a guy who just wanted company for the night. We ordered room service at 2 a.m. and watched some old movie. He left a thick envelope on the table before he went to his morning meeting. I started traveling a bit too. Short flights, nice seats. One client flew me to a conference in another city just so he'd have someone to come back to at the hotel. I remember walking through the airport thinking, this can't be my real life. The hotels had soft robes and big beds. The views from the rooms were insane. For a while, it felt like I was winning. There were weird moments, too. One older client paid me just to sit quietly in his office after hours while he finished paperwork. No talking, just presence. Another wanted me to wear a specific dress he bought me and go with him to an exclusive event where everyone was older and rich. I overheard conversations about deals and politics that I knew I shouldn't be hearing. They acted like I was invisible, like I didn't count. That stung more than I expected. The drugs got easier to get and stronger. I wasn't using just to get by anymore. It became part of the routine, something to take the edge off before a meeting, something to celebrate after. My new friends in this world partied hard, but stayed functional. I told myself I was the same. I still had control. I barely saw my old crew anymore. My dad noticed I had nicer things, but I brushed off his questions. The apartment I moved into felt like a fresh start. Clean, modern, mine. I'd come home after a long night, kick off my heels, count the cash, and feel this rush. I can't believe this is my life now, I'd think. Expensive bags in the closet, full fridge, no more scraping by. But every once in a while, something small would hit me. The way some clients looked at me like I was a transaction. The secrets they'd casually share because they thought I was safe. The rules I learned without anyone spelling them out. Smile, Don't ask personal questions. Never stay the night unless they pay extra. I crossed little boundaries every week and barely noticed. By the end of that first year, it wasn't two separate worlds anymore. The club promoter girl I used to be felt far away. This new life with the money, the trips, the nice things, it had become my normal. And even though part of me knew it was fragile, I didn't want to go back to how things were before. The first year wasn't so bad. Or at least that's what I told myself. But looking back, that's when the slow slide really started. The schedule got crazy. I'd sleep most of the day and be up all night. My body clock flipped completely. I'd wake up at 6 in the evening, make coffee, scroll through messages, and plan the night. Days of the week stopped mattering. Everything blurred together. Clients came in all types. Some were decent. There was this regular guy, maybe 50, who always wanted to talk about his garden before anything else. He'd show me pictures on his phone and I'd smile and ask questions like I cared. Others were colder. One man from abroad barely spoke to me the whole time. He just wanted the company and then left the money on the nightstand without a word. I learned to read the room fast. Who wanted silence? Who wanted to feel important? Who wanted me to laugh at their jokes even if they weren't funny? The pretending got easier. I had a few different names I used depending on the city or the client. Fake stories about what I did for a living. I got really good at lying. My old friends would text, asking where I'd been, and I'd say I was busy with club events or visiting family. I missed a lot of birthdays. One of my closest friends had a baby and I didn't even make it to the hospital. I sent money instead and felt like shit for weeks, but I still didn't go. The drugs were always there. What started as something to take the edge off became the thing I planned around. I'd do a line before a tough booking to feel sharp and confident. After a while, I needed it just to feel normal. I still said the same thing every time someone hinted I had a problem. I control it. But I was deleting messages every night, checking hotel doors out of habit, carrying cash in different pockets so I always had some on me. Small things that became automatic. Money stopped exciting me the way it used to. The fancy dinners, the nice hotels, they all started feeling the same. I remember sitting in a beautiful restaurant with city views, wearing a dress that cost more than my old rent, and feeling absolutely nothing. The waiter poured expensive wine and I just nodded. It was just another Tuesday, or maybe Wednesday. I couldn't remember. Some nights left marks in ways I didn't expect. There was this one client who seemed nice at first, very polite, but then he kept pushing little boundaries. Nothing violent, just comments that made my skin crawl, like reminding me how much he was paying. I smiled through it and left with the money, but I took a longer shower when I got home. Another time, a guy wanted me to stay longer than we agreed. He got quiet and intense when I said I had to leave. I ended up staying an extra hour just to keep things smooth. I hated myself for it, but I did it anyway. My friendships from the old days almost disappeared. The party girls I used to trust started looking at me differently. They could tell something was off. I pulled away because it was easier than explaining. Even with my dad, the conversations got shorter. He'd ask how I was making so much money and I'd change the subject. The apartment I was so proud of started feeling empty. I'd come home after a long weekend, drop my bag, and just sit on the couch staring at the wall. The worst part was how normal it all became. I stopped reacting to things that would have shocked me before. A client casually telling me about his wife and kids like it was nothing. Another one wanting me to act like his girlfriend in public for a dinner. I learned to switch personalities depending on what they needed. Fake laugh, fake interest, fake affection. It all became muscle memory. I noticed I wasn't really feeling much anymore. Not happy, not sad, just going through the motions. I'd look at other girls my age on social media living regular lives, jobs, boyfriends, weekend trips, and it felt like they were on another planet. I couldn't even picture myself doing normal stuff anymore. My world was hotels, late nights, cash envelopes, and making sure I had enough for the next few days. One quiet morning, I came home from an overnight booking, kicked off my heels, and counted the money like always. Then I looked around my apartment at all the nice things I'd bought and realized I hadn't had a single real conversation in weeks. I wasn't scared anymore. I wasn't excited either. This was just my life. I poured a drink, did what I needed to take the edge off, and went to bed as the sun came up. Another day done. I was already pretty far gone by then. The coke had me tight in its grip, and I needed it just to get through most nights. One evening, I got a message for a booking at this apartment I'd been to once before. The client was a guy in his 40s, always had good stuff, paid well. Nothing felt off at first. I showed up around 10, wearing the usual nice dress, smile ready. He greeted me at the door like always, poured drinks, made small talk about his week. The apartment smelled like cigarettes and cologne. We sat on the couch for a bit. Then he pulled out a little bag and said he had something stronger than what I usually did. "It'll make the night better," he told me. I hesitated for a second. I wasn't feeling great that day, tired, drained, but the need was stronger than the doubt. I figured I could handle it. I'd handled everything else. At first it hit nice, warm, intense, like everything got sharper and softer at the same time. We moved to the bedroom. Things felt okay for a while. Then it changed fast. My heart started racing way too hard. I felt hot, then cold. My chest got tight. I tried to sit up, but the room started spinning. I remember telling him something felt wrong. He looked annoyed at first, then worried. His voice got distant, like he was talking through water. I heard him say, "Shit, stay with me." But it sounded far away. The next thing I remember is waking up in the hospital. Bright lights, beeping machines, that sterile smell. My throat hurt. A nurse was adjusting something on my arm. She told me I'd been out for hours. They'd found me in the apartment and called an ambulance. The client had left before they arrived, I guess. I don't remember much of that part. Later, a doctor came in, a woman with tired eyes. She sat on the edge of the bed and spoke quietly but straight. She said they barely brought me back. My heart had stopped for a little while. If I kept going the way I was, the next time they probably wouldn't be able to save me. She didn't lecture. She just looked at me like she'd seen this too many times before. When she left, I asked the nurse for a mirror. She brought me a small one. I looked at my face, pale, dark circles, lips cracked. My hair was a mess. I stared at myself for a long time. That's when it hit me. I wasn't even a person anymore. I was just a walking dose, chasing the next high, risking everything for it. 23 years old and almost gone. Just like that. I lay there the rest of the night listening to the hospital sounds. Nurses talking in the hallway, carts rolling by, someone coughing down the corridor. The world outside kept moving like nothing happened. But inside me, everything had stopped. I couldn't pretend anymore. I couldn't tell myself I had control. In that moment, I knew if I went back to that life, I was going to die. And for the first time, I didn't want to. After the hospital, they sent me to a rehab center. I didn't want to go at first. I tried to leave twice in the first month. The cravings were brutal. I'd wake up in the middle of the night sweating, shaking, thinking about how easy it would be to just get one hit and feel normal again. The social worker there, a woman named Helena, wouldn't let me give up. She sat with me through the worst nights, not saying much, just being there. She's the one who really pulled me through. Leaving wasn't one big moment. It was 1,000 small, hard ones. I changed my number 3 times. I moved to a different part of Niche so I wouldn't run into anyone from before. Even then, a couple old acquaintances found me and tried to pull me back in. Messages, guilt trips, offers of easy money. I blocked them, but the fear stayed for a long time. What if someone recognized me? What if my dad found out the truth? The shame was heavy. The first real job I got was in a small cafe. Washing dishes, serving coffee, smiling at customers even when I felt dead inside. My hands shook for months. I had panic attacks in the storage room some days. Nightmares where I was back in those hotel rooms or waking up in the hospital. I'd wake up crying and have to remind myself I was safe. Rebuilding money was slow. No more envelopes, just hourly wages and tired feet. I learned how to budget again, how to eat cheap but healthy, how to sleep at normal hours. Making friends was hard. I didn't trust people. I'd start conversations and then pull back, scared they'd see through me. Therapy helped a little, and the support group at the center even more. Listening to other girls tell their stories made me feel less alone, but it also reminded me how much I'd lost. I missed birthdays, holidays, pieces of my own life that I can't get back. My health is still not the same. My body remembers everything. Even now, 2 years clean, it's not perfect. I work at that little cafe near the park. I like the routine, making cappuccinos, chatting with regulars, closing up at night. On my days off, I help at the rehab program, talking to girls who are where I used to be. Sometimes it's hard to listen because it brings everything back. I still can't forgive myself for how low I went. The way I hurt people without meaning to. The friends I lost. The version of me that almost disappeared. My dad and I talk more now, but it's careful. He doesn't know the full story, and I don't think I'll ever tell him. Some days are good. Some days I still feel that emptiness. The world feels both too loud and too quiet at the same time. I'm learning how to live without the chaos, but part of me will probably always carry the weight of those years. If I could say one thing, it's this. I wanted to live brightly, but in the end, I almost faded away forever. I'm still here, though, still breathing, still trying. That has to count for something.